All right, guys. So this is something new for me, but I have for 10 years now. I have been doing on my first day of classes something I like to call Beatboxing 101. And so the goal of beatboxing is to sound like a drum set with your mouth. And so really the goal is to cover all the drum sounds just using your mouth. And so I'm going to go through each drum and what you do with your mouth so that maybe you can learn this later on. So we're going to start with the kick drum. The kick drum is the otherwise known as the bass drum. It is the low end, and it's really just a really forceful P sound like this. There are variations to this, like some of the old school beatboxers used to roll their lips like. There's also the techno. If you need to do some techno beatboxing, there's the gulp. It's literally like. It's a very weird sound, but that's another way to do a kick drum. Another thing that I personally like to do, and you'll hear beatboxers do, is they'll sing a really low note while they're doing it. So they might go boom, 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 and it's like they're singing and like playing a bass guitar and doing the drums at the same time. So that's your kick drum. The next thing I'm gonna do is the hi-hat. If you don't know a lot about drums, a hi-hat is literally, it's two cymbals that are like this, and there's a pedal where you open and you close them. And so when it's closed, you get a sound like, and when it's open, you get more of a, and when you put those together, you get more of a, not so fancy, but it's a very important part of the drums. This brings us to the snare drum. And the snare drum is what I like to say is what separates the amateurs from the professionals. I like to think of myself as professional. To be a professional means you get paid for something. And there was this one time that someone paid me $50 to teach him how to beatbox. So I am a professional beatboxer. Anyway, I remember a long time ago when I was trying to do this, I had sounds that I did. I would go or a lot of different things. They were okay. And I remember there was this guy I looked up to who was someone the whole reason I started beatboxing in the first place. And I was at this conference, and I remember I was kind of like, I saw him, this guy, over to the side, and I started beatboxing, I guess kind of hoping he'd hear me. And he looked at me, and he heard me, and he goes, "Bro," I'm pretty sure he said bro, you're not doing an inward snare. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he went on to explain that the best snare drum sound is not coming out of your mouth. Like, it's not a sound that's coming out, but it's a sound that's coming as you're breathing in, which just blew my mind. It didn't make any sense. But then as I started working on it, one of the nice things about that is this, as you're beatboxing, you have this constant in and out, and so you don't even have to stop for a breath. And so the sound I typically do is this really forceful sound that's kind of coming through both sides like this. Sometimes I might go, which is more of like a backwards K. It's like I'm doing a K sound, but doing it inwards like that. So that's your snare drum. Which brings us to the record scratch. So a record scratch, not really a drum sound, but it is something that a lot of beatboxers do. And there are two types of record scratches. You have the vocalized record scratch and the unvocalized. So I'll start with the unvocalized. And really all that means is you're making sounds without singing notes. So really the unvocalized record scratch is just a series of breath noises like I actually watched a video once, I think it was on beatboxing.com, and they said say the word chewy while whispering, chewy, 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 which sounds like a record scratch. The vocalize is actually a lot tougher. It's not something I'm super good at, but it's this idea of kind of taking almost like notes and bringing them up and down. This, and it's, you know, it's something that if you listen to record scratching, you'll hear that, but not something I'm super good at. All right, so I think that's all the sounds. So I'm going to put it all together right now. Here we go. All right. You're going to have a quiz on that next week. See you guys.